Just so you know, being recorded all the time. Okay, so the three questions are you okay with us sharing this recording of your story publicly?
Yes.
Is everything in your story true to the best you can remember it?
It is, yes.
Okay, and question number three, could you or anyone you mentioned specifically in your story face prosecution or legal action due to crimes that you may share in your story?
No.
Thanks. That's what's up. You taking some notes. I appreciate you, man. And the time is yours. Introduce yourself however you want and take off, bro.
Hello, my name is Martin, and I am an alcoholic. My story started in Manchester, England. I was raised on a council estate, which is the English version of the projects or the barrios. It's government housing for low-income families. And I was raised by a single mother. My father left when I was 2 for undisclosed reasons, let's say, and he came back into my life when I was a teenager. So I was brought up in this area of full of criminals. The electric would go out in the house, there'd be no food, single mothers smoking weed, having criminals in the house. And I grew up in this environment. Obviously, I was affected by it, and I was these are the people I looked up to, my mother's friends, these criminals, etc. And it influenced me a lot in how I became as a young man. 11 years old, I stole some weed, some marijuana from my mother's box. She smoked weed, and I smoked it at 11 years old. That was the start of my journey with drink and drugs, and it went marijuana at 11, cigarettes at 12, alcohol at 13, amphetamines at 14, cocaine 15, and then I went on to ecstasy and stuff like that about 16, 17. And so basically, I don't even have any memories before that. My earliest memories are drinking and using, and that's how I created my whole reality, my whole persona. Everything was connected to it, and it was up until recent, until I stopped that life. And I look back at it, and I didn't stand a chance. I was obligated to go down that path. There was no other way that I was going when I was raised in that environment. And a big thing for us as adults is that I'm not to blame for my childhood and my trauma, but as an adult, I'm fully responsible for the healing of it. And I understand that now, and I've taken that on, because it was so easy to be a victim and to blame everything and everyone after that when I look back at how I was raised, right? And now I've took control, and I see it as a strength the way I was raised. Anyway, I started getting into a lot of trouble. Obviously, when you're like that, I was in a fatherless home, a mother who couldn't control me. I'm getting into so much trouble. And, I took like a fake black metal gun into school and robbed another kid, and they kicked me out of school, and my mum grounded me, and I was climbing out the window getting drunk at 13. It was it was horrendous. And so she had to remove me, and she said, you can't be here anymore in Manchester. And she sent me to live with my dad at that time when I was 13. I finished schooling and kind of chilled out a little bit. I came back to Manchester when I was 16, 17. And in that point, I'd been in Manchester. It was a really rough neighborhood I was in. I was just a skinny little white kid. And, I was picked on a lot. I got robbed on the street between the age of 11 to 18, maybe 20 times. And as I was becoming a man, and I was sick of being a victim then at that point, I took up boxing. And as an auto-defense mechanism, I started becoming a perpetrator. I understood that if to become a perpetrator was a form of protection, that then they would leave me alone because I was the same as them and I was no longer a victim. And I started participating in that kind of activity and just being an absolute maniac, basically, with drink, drugs, and just hedonism, violence, petty crime, all this stuff. And it was madness. So when I hit 19, I made a little list of all the things I wanted to achieve in my life, and the number one priority was travel the world. And this was exactly in line with my pleasure seeking, my hedonism. If you could imagine a perfect life for an alcoholic drug addict, just go traveling the world, keep running away, no responsibility, no career, like just chasing that next high through location, through everything. And I dedicated my whole life to pleasure seeking, to hedonism. And I left England when I was 19. I got fired from every job I ever had up till then, until I started working in the casino, which was the only job that I enjoyed and allowed me to turn up drunk, because it was the entertainment industry. I turn up drunk and on drugs, and the customers are happy. Woo! Place your bets, please. It's the only job I could hold down because of that reasons. And so anyway, after that, I literally just dedicated the following years, maybe 15 years, to pure hedonism, pure escapism, just moving around the world, running away from myself. I would escape myself, create a new persona in a new place, and then I would catch myself up, cause a complete mess, violence, crime, mess, and then I would have to leave again as people started finding out what I was like. And I arrived here in the Dominican Republic. Now it's 10 years ago. I'm 37 now. I arrived here 10 years ago. I'd been off the back of a year and a half in Thailand, no job, everything. And anyway, I got here and I realized everything was out of control and I needed to make a change. And so I went into a recovery program, a 12-step recovery program, 8 years ago now. And that was part of the beginning of my trying to get out of this and my self-development. I tried so many ways to stop drinking before that. Self-hypnosis CDs, kickboxing camp, a meditation retreat, book, like every way you could name, I'd tried it and been unsuccessful in all of them. And I got to AA, pardon me, 12-step recovery program. And it was so funny because one thing I had solid concrete evidence of was I didn't know how to stop drinking. Yeah, I arrived in this room and they said, oh, here's a solution. And I said, no, I'm not going to try it that way. And it was so ridiculous because I came and said, please, can you help me? I don't know how to do it. And they said, yeah, we can help you. Here it is. No, I'm not going to do that. And it was just so ridiculous. So I spent about a year and a half doing that, of just not following the program, doing it my own way. I literally picked up a white chip every week for the first year and a half. But I kept coming back. I knew I needed to stop, but I just couldn't. I'd be crying my eyes out saying, why can't I just be a normal person? Not willing to do the work, but why can't I just be normal? And so after a year and a half, I had my first intervention and I was sat down and, you know, they just said to me, hey, there might be another way to get sober. Maybe there is, but you're choosing this way. And if you're going to choose this way, then you need to do it this way. Like, you've got to do these things. And it really hit home to me. And I said, man, you're right, you know. And I left that intervention. And for the first time in my life, I went onto my knees. I went into the bathroom, the classic bathroom knee prayer. I went onto my knees and prayed and genuinely asked for help and said, you know, I don't know what this power is. I don't believe in God at all at that time. And I just said, I genuinely need help. And I asked for it. And be careful what you wish for, because within a week of making that prayer and asking for help, suddenly I had this strength that I never had before. And I agreed to live in a recovery house for 90 days and do 90 meetings in 90 days and not see my girlfriend for 90 days and just be locked down. And when I got into the house and I sat there and I said, how the hell did this happen? Why did I agree to all this? But it was amazing, because what I understood then is this thing about a higher power. I tried to do it on my own and I genuinely didn't have the necessary energy, strength, willpower, whatever it was, to do the things necessary. And as soon as I asked outside of myself for that help and said, please help me to do it, suddenly I had the strength to do it, to go through the steps and have a sponsor and do my step 5 and all this stuff. And it was just amazing to witness. It was a real pivotal point of asking for help and then seeing what followed after that. And it was the first time I got sober. I got a year and a half sober, but to be honest, I didn't change that much. I was still that same person. I was still being dishonest. I was still engaging in all these behaviors. And I thought that I could still live that way. I wanted to live that way. You know, I wanted to be around the drug dealers and the criminals. This is the only life I ever knew. What am I going to do? Since 11 years old, that has been my people, my surroundings. That's what I'm comfortable with. And now you take it away from me and I'm completely lost. So I'm sober. I'm sat there and I'm saying, this is shit. And it kept me relapsing for a long time, because a really powerful saying I heard is, the price for your new life is your old one. And I would go into this new life and I'd want to keep my old one, and I'd want all those old friends, and I'd be in my birthday party sober, and they'd be passing the plate of cocaine around, and I'd take it and say, no, I don't do that anymore, and pass it on, and believe that I could stay sober and clean in these circumstances. And I couldn't, obviously. I kept going out. But I just couldn't give up that old life. And I couldn't successfully create the new one. I went out every single New Year's Eve ever when I was sober until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's the only life I ever knew. And, 8 years now in this program, and the last New Year's is the first New Year's when I stayed at home and I went to bed at 10 a.m. And I woke up in the morning and did exercise and create this new life. And this has been probably the single most pivotal thing now in the successful advancement of my sobriety and this personality change, is dedicating a plan, a strategy, a formula, a vision of what is my sober life going to be like. When we come into a recovery program, or when we finish drinking, we're eliminating a whole life, a whole ego, and it needs to be decimated, flattened, killed, and gotten rid of, which is why it's so difficult. And on the base of that ruin, we now have an opportunity at a second chance in life, and we're genuinely blessed with a second chance in life. And we need to sit down, or I need to, and look at what am I going to do with this? I'm now blessed with a second chance in life, and I can be whoever I want to be. And it just starts with that vision of the character construction of who is the person that I now wish to be? What are the motives that are going to drive me? You know, how do I want other people to perceive me? What is my morals and core values going to be? And then create a daily plan of action to stick to that and create that person. And this is what I'm doing this time. And it's just been completely life-changing, because where I'm sat today, this person talking to you now is the person I wanted to be when I used drink and drugs. This is why I use drink and drugs, to be this person sat here. And I've found today in recovery, in sobriety, in my program, exactly what I was looking for in drink and drugs. And that is, you see me here, you can see my energy, the confidence I'm holding. None of this is fake. This has been earned now through all that work with the 12 steps of healing that past trauma, clearing up that karmic debt, creating a new slate, and then creating this person I wish to be. And yeah, it's been earned, and this confidence, etc., that I have is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to feel comfortable. I just wanted that social anxiety to go away when I was drinking and using. It never went away. I had a ball in the pit of my stomach all day, every day, and I was scared of everything, and I was terrified in social situations, and my hands would be shaking, and I needed to drink to get rid of that feeling. There was a feeling of impending doom because I was always doing something bad and immoral. And so obviously I felt that way because my conscience was weighing down on me. And for it not to be that way today is just one of the biggest blessings I could ever hope for. If you look at the promises in a 12-step program, it says the fear of people will be removed. And to me, that is the biggest blessing out of all of it, because it's one of the biggest reasons that I drank was fear of people. I would go into a social interaction with my best friend, just me and that one person, and I would be terrified. And if they came close and looked in my eyes, my heart would start racing, my hands would start shaking, and I would just feel awkward and out of place and less than. And drink took that feeling away, and that's why I did it, because I'd always feel that way, and then it would always take it away, and it was the solution. And what I didn't fully understand was that my solution was the problem, that because I drank and because I did that to myself, that's why I was that way without it. Like they say in one of the books that we can't differentiate the true from the false. And what happened to me is that I lived such a fantasy while I was drinking and using, and I had this mask on, this fake personality of who I thought you wanted to see. The happy-go-lucky guy, confident, funny, joking, who never had any problems. And I hid all that vulnerability and all that insecurity, and I never let anybody see it. And because it was such a contrast between the fantasy and my normal life, that it exasperated my normal life, and it made me feel less than, because I felt more than with the drink and drugs, that when you took that away the next day, I couldn't compare to that drunk fake persona. And so it just drove me down further and further, and made me feel worse and worse and worse, making alcohol and drugs more and more effective. That I just needed it just to feel normal now. It didn't even have a great effect at the end. It just took away that feeling of being a piece of crap. And all of that leading to the way I feel today and what I found today. I just wish that I could give this feeling to anybody who's suffering from those ailments that I've just described, because if they could see what's on the other side of completing those 12 steps, of healing that past trauma, of clearing up the karmic debt, and doing this kind of programming that we do, and if they could just experience this for a moment, then they would stop and they'd understand that the work is worth it, that you're worth the work, the trademark of the other side of hell. And here we are on the other side of hell, absolutely being worth the work, and I've created the worth that we continue doing the work. And life today is just amazing for me. It's really unreal where I've come, and when I look back and I just keep comparing to what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, and every day is an absolute blessing. I'll just touch on this, that one of the reasons I spent so long in the program without completing it is because I could bear so much pain that I couldn't hit that bottom. They kept saying to me, you need to hit the bottom. And the last time I went out, the bottom was real, that I caused personally so much damage to my psyche, my personality, my surroundings, to the people around me. And I genuinely did a lot of bad things, immoral, illegal, all this stuff that created real life consequences. And as I'm looking at these consequences and figuring out what's the solution to them, how do I face them, running away, my number one solution all the time, ignoring them, that's the best solution ever. And killing myself was on that list, and it started to rise further up the list as the problems became bigger and bigger. And it's absolutely a progressive disease. And the more I went out and the more I drank, the bigger the consequences created were. And the last time, the consequences were so great that I was so weak emotionally and spiritually that I couldn't face them, that checking out and killing myself went to the top of the list. And for the first time, I researched how to do it. I bought the things to do it, and I drove to the location to do it, destroyed spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and just wanted the pain to stop. And I went to do it, and it was real, and I was going to do it. And I you know, they say that you don't really want to do it, but I just don't see any other way out. And obviously I didn't go through with it. There's a documentary on the Golden Gate Bridge suicide people, and a guy jumps off, and they interview him afterwards and say, what went through your head as you jumped off? Did your life flash before your eyes? And he said, no, the only thing I could think of was, nobody is ever going to know that I didn't want to do this, that I didn't want to kill myself. And it hit me so hard thinking about that, because of course I didn't want to do it, but I was going to do it. And it would have only taken 2 minutes of a strong, chemically enhanced negative emotion for me to do it. You know, I was going to take these super strong narcotic sleeping pills, turn on the car, and just go to sleep. It was like super easy, nice, peaceful way to go. And I would have solved all my problems and just created a million problems for everyone around me who I'd left behind. But it just got me thinking that all those people who do stuff like that, it's so dangerous, because whether you want to or not, it just takes 2 seconds of this supercharged emotion. And then you go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. And, you know, I'm gone. And it's just so scary when you put it into perspective. So when I woke up the next day, the gravity of my situation came to light, and I realized how deep I was in trouble. And my girlfriend at the time, she's still my girlfriend, she was talking to me, and she looked at me and she said, Martin, where are you? Where have you gone? You know, who is this person? Who is this thing here that's just given up on life? There's no fight. There's no light. You've completely given up. And it's like she touched me, and that old Martin, the me that sat here, she got through to him, and a little seed at the back of my head said, wow, you're right. I've just given up. How have I given up? How has it come to this? Where's the fight? And I actually got a little bit angry, and I said, I have to fight. I have to fight. I've got to fight against this demon that's got control of me, and it's going to kill me. And it became so clear how life-threatening and precarious my situation was, and that massive action was needed. And that day, I went to a recovery meeting, and I did 180 meetings in 180 days. During that time, I set up and founded with 2 other people the Zoom Dominican Republic group online, and just took massive action like I'd never taken before, smashed through the steps. And I just kept that feeling of that demon controlling me and my life about to end, and that massive emotional, you know, driving factor of having a second chance at life. And I just used it as fuel, and I went into massive action, and I surrendered and did what was necessary. A big point of this is, every time I had an intervention, every time I tried recovery, there was a fight. It was suggested to me to do all these things, and I would say, yes, but, and I would always have a disclaimer. There would always be something I wasn't comfortable with doing. And when this happened to me, I went and sat down with my father, and I said to him, the answer is yes. I don't care what you tell me to do. If you tell me to go and live in a sober house for 2 years, the answer is already yeah. I already agreed to it, and I'm going to do anything you say. I don't care what it is. This is the end. And I understand now, for me and my journey, that was the only way it was ever going to work. You know, I feel like you have to be in this new life, in this recovery, to the exact level that you're into the old one. And if you were as bad as I was, where it was an everyday, completely possessed, demonic kind of thing that propelled me every single day to use, that's how much I need to be in this recovery life. It has to be the same level. If you drink 4 beers on a Saturday night and you want to stop, the action you take will be in comparison with that, and it won't be that difficult. If you are a low bottom, crazy maniac alcoholic drug addict who's been like that since a young age, the action you take is going to need to be in line with that. And as I propel forward, I'm continuing to do it, and that's what drives me today, that I understand every little action I take is driving me into the new life that I'm creating, or back into the old one. And you know, now when I have a very strict program today with a wake up time, morning readings, meditation, positive talk, burpees. I run a burpee session in the morning, my nutrition, my programming, all these things that I now see as the support to my new life. And I put the importance on each of them, that every single thing is me stepping to the new life or the old one. And if I was to miss one of them, I play the tape through, and it ain't just pressing the snooze button. That's the old me taking control. And that is going to end up with me 2 years down the line, killing myself, killing someone else, going to prison. So yeah, the message through all of this, whatever, you know, however bad it got for me, somehow I was able to keep it, and that there is a solution, there is a way out. And if you're going through anything like I just described, or any sort of struggles and problems, there is a solution. And it just starts with admitting there's a problem, reaching out for help, and then taking the action. And if I could give you a taste of this life I live today and let you understand how good it is on the other side, you would do it in a heartbeat, because it's real. I would say as well, I have an Instagram account. The handle is @randomguygettingfit, and I'm putting my message out there on a lot, and I'm super open. If anyone does relate to my story that's listening, please reach out to me. I really love to connect with people and to help as many people as I can, and I'm sure you will help me as well. I also have moved into online coaching now, which I'm offering a service on, and it really connects with a lot of people who have stopped drinking and drugging and haven't created that new life yet. And this was the missing piece of the puzzle for me to create the new life of programming, fitness, nutrition. This was the missing piece of the puzzle, and this is now what I'm helping people do who did have those kind of problems and have now stopped. The final pieces to create that new life that's going to give us longevity and keep us in recovery and sobriety, because this is the better life as we do that. That's it. Beautiful. Much love to everybody. Much respect. Thank you.